Imagine waking up one day and huge chunks of your life story are just gone. Basically, it stops you from remembering things that happened before some kind of trauma. Let's use an analogy. Think of your memories as a whole shelf full of journals. Now an injury or illness acts like a thief breaking in to steal those journals. And this thief might just grab last week's journal, or they might take almost everything. But here's the really weird part. This thief has a very specific way of working. They always go for the newest journals first. Your recent past is the most vulnerable. This pattern actually has a name. It's a scientific principle called Ribot's Law. It's as recent memories are like wet ink, still setting and really easy to smudge. That's why you might forget last year's wedding, but perfectly recall your first pet. So, here's your complete timeline, your entire collection of journals all lined up. And then something happens, an injury, a stroke, you name it. After you look at the shelf and you find this huge gap where your recent past was. But this is the crucial part. The journals are gone, but the author is still there. Their ability to make new memories, to learn and grow is completely untouched. So while the past is locked away, they can start writing a brand new chapter. And it just goes to show you, memory isn't just storage, it's a living, active process. Okay, so what if your pen ran out of ink, not on paper, but in your actual mind? This isn't about forgetting your past, it's about being unable to even create a future. See, you've got two kinds. Retrograde is losing the past. Anterograde, that's way different. And here's the wild part. All your old memories, who you are, that's all still there. To get how this works, let's go back to that pen without ink idea. It's a perfect analogy. Think about it. Your whole life's journal, every memory you've ever made is safe. But from this point on, you just can't write anything new. No more pages. So you experience things, but your brain just can't save them. The transfer simply fails. Now this isn't just a theory. Let's talk about a real person, the famous patient HM. His name was Henry Molaison. A surgery for his epilepsy took out his hippocampus. After that, his ability to form new memories lasted for just about 5 minutes. So he could have a totally normal conversation with you, laughing and chatting. But if you walked out and came back, he would have no clue who you were. So what's it actually like to live that way, moment to moment? Well, your life just becomes a bunch of disconnected moments. There's no story connecting them. You're basically waking up to a brand new world every single day. Essentially, without the ability to make new memories, you're just frozen in time. Which really makes you think, who are you if you can't remember what happened yesterday? Let's talk about something wild. What if hours of your life could just vanish? That's pretty much what it's like to have transient global amnesia, or TGA for short. It's this baffling condition where a whole chunk of time completely disappears from your memory. So what's actually happening inside the brain during all this confusion? Here's the crazy part. You still know exactly who you are. Your identity is totally intact. What's off is the brain's record button. You just can't form any new memories. And that leads to a classic sign of TGA asking the same questions over and over. They might ask something simple like, where are we, or what are we doing here? But because new memories aren't sticking, that answer just vanishes almost instantly. So they ask again. You can see how they get trapped in this really confusing loop. The big question is, what on earth could trigger something so bizarre? Well, researchers think it might be sudden physical or even emotional shocks to the system. But honestly, a lot of the time, the exact cause remains a complete mystery. Then, after about 4 to 8 hours, it just stops as suddenly as it all began. Their memory function just clicks right back on and everything seems normal again. Well, almost normal. There is one strange lasting side effect from the whole thing. That person will have a permanent memory gap. Those few hours are gone for good. So to recap, it's a sudden temporary memory loss that leaves one permanent hole. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Just how stable are our own memories? Okay, so let's dive into a wild idea. The mind protecting itself by just forgetting. Right off the bat, this isn't the amnesia you see in the movies from a bump on the head. It's the mind's ultimate defense system against memories that are simply too overwhelming to handle. Think of it like this, the mind literally builds a psychological firewall around that memory. And we're not talking about just losing your keys. This is a complete blank space in someone's life. For instance, a soldier might have zero memory of a particularly traumatic event in combat. So how much memory actually gets lost? Well, the range is pretty dramatic. Most of the time, the gap is just a few hours right around the event itself. That's most common. But in some really rare cases, the mind can actually wall off entire years. Now let's get into the most extreme version of this, the dissociative fugue. This is where someone doesn't just forget an event, they forget who they are entirely. The way this unfolds is just wild. It all starts with that total loss of personal identity. They might just move to a new town and start a new life completely unaware of their past. And this isn't a quick thing. A fugue state can go on for months, sometimes even longer. Then, just as suddenly as it started, they wake up and their old memories come flooding back. But here's the kicker. The time they spent in the fugue, that's now a complete blank. So how do people get better? Therapy is key to safely reconnecting those walled-off memories, which leaves us with a pretty profound question. If our memories make us who are we without them? You've probably heard of it, that strange, disorienting fog that sets in after a serious injury. It's called post-traumatic amnesia or PTA, but honestly, that name is kind of misleading. See, it's not just about amnesia. It's really that in-between state from unconsciousness back to being fully aware. A person might be awake, but they're deeply confused, sometimes agitated, and new memories just won't stick. And for family and friends watching this, it can be absolutely heartbreaking. So what's happening in the brain? Well, it's basically a double whammy of memory problems. On one hand, the past is fuzzy, and on the other, the present just won't record. Okay, so if this state is temporary, why is it so important for doctors to track? Because how long it lasts is one of the best clues they have to the injury's real severity. If it's under an hour, that's likely a mild injury, but days or weeks, that points to something severe. The length of that fog essentially forecasts the entire recovery journey that lies ahead. So what does that path back to clarity actually look and feel like for the patient? It's a slow process. It starts with that intense confusion. Then gradually the fog starts to lift and the brain starts relearning how to stitch moments together into a continuous story. It's an incredible healing process. But here's the question, does everything come back? The answer is often no. The memory of the accident itself is frequently just gone forever. So while the fog clears, it leaves behind a silent permanent gap in a person's life story. Take a moment and try to pinpoint it. How old were you? This gap in our life story is a universal human experience. It has a name, infantile amnesia, and this illustrates a key point. It's not something broken, it's just how our brains are built. So why does this happen? Well, we have three main theories that help solve this puzzle. Our first clue lies in the physical architecture of the infant brain. The parts needed for long-term story-like memories aren't fully online yet. It's simply not ready to build permanent structures for those early memories. Okay, let's move to our second clue, which is all about language. As adults, we build narratives to make sense of our past experiences. Without the right words, the memories can't be filed for later retrieval. The information is there, but there's no way to find it later on. Our final clue is about something more personal, our sense of self. To have a life story, you first need a main character. Until we have a steady sense of self, experiences don't stick to a central storyline. So the crucial point is that it's not just one single thing. All three clues, brain, language, and self, work together to create infantile amnesia. But here's what's really interesting. Infants are constantly learning and forming memories. They just form different kinds of memories, not the personal storybook kind. But the essential learning for who we become starts from day one. It's a fascinating question about where our conscious identity really starts. Alright, let's dive into a really strange mystery of the mind. Imagine this, you're describing a memory, a conversation, but it never actually happened. Someone might tell you this and they mean it. To them, every single detail is real. But get this, they aren't lying. It's a symptom of a truly devastating neurological condition. We're talking about Korsakoff syndrome. It's a condition that creates these profound gaps in memory. Now, what's really fascinating is how it attacks memory from two completely different directions. So we get anterograde amnesia, which means you can't form new memories, and retrograde amnesia, which erases the past. You're probably wondering what could possibly cause this. The answer is surprisingly straightforward. It's a chain reaction, usually started by long-term alcohol misuse that blocks a critical vitamin. This deficiency goes on to damage key parts of the brain's memory hardware like the thalamus, which brings us back to the big mystery. Why does the brain invent stories to fill the gaps? Well, the brain just can't stand a vacuum. It scrambles to make sense of everything. Yeah, it's basically the brain desperately trying to hold on to a coherent sense of self. And this is the most important thing to remember. They genuinely believe these created stories. So is there any hope for recovery? What does the future actually look like for them? Unfortunately, when it comes to the brain damage itself, yeah, it's typically permanent. But the good news is, its progression can be stopped with the right treatment and changes. The whole goal here is to stop it from getting worse and prevent any more damage. It really makes you think, if our memories build our reality, what happens when that architect is broken? If you enjoyed this video, then subscribe for more, and feel free to leave your suggestions for what's next in the comment section down below.